This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
Well, lots to go through in a short amount of time here. This is the Tiger Cats postgame show. Bubba O'Neil, Andy Fantuz here. An otherwise close game at half just ends up into a blowout. Like we said, 30-13. The Saskatchewan Roughriders win their home opener. Tiger Cats licking their wounds after a real tough second half here. Andy, let me throw this to you right now. I think when you look at this game, again, we talked about the cohesion issues on offense for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. On offense, defense held them in as hard as they could. But here's, I think, the key point of the game. Midway through the fourth quarter, Hamilton, the big connection, Evans to Dunbar Jr. for the 71-yard bomb to make it 15-13. And then Saskatchewan get the ball back, and they march the ball, 7-play, 85-yard drive on the ensuing drive, 20-yard touchdown, Fajardo to Keon Schaefer-Baker, and that was the game right there.
Yeah, what a response after that big play, but the only play really by the Hamilton Tiger Cats, the only explosive play, and you got to give Roughriders credit for responding like that after going through the whole game with only capitalizing on 5 field goals by Brett Lawther, and being able to really have that methodical drive, a couple key short yardage conversions on that drive just to extend it over and over and over. We were sitting here talking with each other and saying, oh, no, don't take too much time. Let the Ticats have at least a few more chances to tie it up or to score again and take the lead. But sure enough, they just kept going down and ended up capitalizing with the Schaefer-Baker touchdown over Richard Leonard. We're
going to have the Access Storage player of the game, or change that, our interview with our player. Coach O is going to join us there, courtesy again of Access Storage. I think we're going to talk about a performer of the game presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. Again, Hercules Tire, right on our strength. It's an interesting selection, but I think it's a fair selection for our performer of the game.
For this game, we're Hercules Player of the Game, we're Simon Larea, a guy, he came in 3 or 4 days ago and got thrown into the toughest environment in the league to punt. And I don't know how many times in his career he's had to punt 9 times in one game, but he didn't have any shanks. He had a couple beauties, and more important than just the yardage, they were 80% of them were between the numbers and the sidelines, which the Ticats, which Craig Butler and the Ticats special teams unit calls the money zone. So just an excellent job coming in, really, really off the street and getting the job done. And unfortunately, a game like this, there's not too many choices to choose from. A couple highlight plays here and there, some really good efforts on defense, but we're going with the punter on this one. He comes in with a lot of pressure in a role that is a high priority for the Ticats, and he delivered.
Let's review your CarStar keys to victory.
Okay, well, the first key was edge pressure, and this one is going to be like a thumbs down. I mean, the sacks in this game were 8-0 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, so no extreme pressure on Cody Fajardo, and the run defense was pretty stout, but there were a couple times where Cody was able to break contain. Yep. Which is one of the reasons that was the key to victory, to make sure that didn't happen, and end up getting a lot of yardage from that. Cody ended up with 10 carries for 42 yards, including that short touchdown at the end. So that the edge pressure, it wasn't quite there. If you're looking at the Tiger Cat offense, it was just constant heat on Dane Evans and then Matthew Schultz at the end. On the other side of the ball, it was okay, but there was just not really not too many hits on Cody Fajardo.
Point number 2.
Point number 2 was average starting field position, and this also was a loss. Now, you got to keep in mind that this includes those turnovers. So one time, the Saskatchewan Roughriders started on the Hamilton 1-yard line, and early in the game, they started on the Hamilton 25-yard line, and then that other fumble in the third quarter, I believe, or was it the fourth quarter? It was the 17-yard line. Or excuse me, it was just over midfield, my mistake. But regardless, Hamilton started on the 39-yard line, on their own 39-yard line on average, and Saskatchewan started on the 45-yard line. So long story short, long-winded answer is if you take away those turnovers, I think they would have won this category. The punting and the coverage teams were excellent for Hamilton tonight, so that is one positive to take away from this game. And they just didn't string enough first downs together to really pin them deep, and you throw in all the turnovers, and that's your answer.
Well, you're certain, as you said, you're number 3, which is generally always the turnover situation, and that was a tough one there. Dane failing to protect the ball a couple of times.
Yeah, 5-3 for Saskatchewan in the turnover battle, and Dane some costly turnovers. I mean, the first interception to Nick Marshall, I don't mind giving Stephen Dunbar a chance in one-on-one coverage. He's this, their stud X receiver, and they ended up going back to him later in the game, and it worked out. He actually had 2 wins against Nick Marshall later in the game. One got called back for a holding on the center, Alex Vitana, but the other one was the big 71-yard touchdown where he got a clean release off the line. And so I don't mind that throw. But the 2 fumbles, when you're scrambling under pressure, you got to find a way to iron cross that thing when there's imminent contact coming, and he just kind of has it out there, ready to be stripped, and those are costly mistakes that Dane is going to be the first one to tell us that that's unacceptable in his role. And he's going to have to clean that up.
18-22 for 222 yards, a touchdown pass, 2 interceptions. And again, we talked about the turnovers being extremely crucial in this game. I think one thing that really concerns, I think, early in the season, these are the things you want to get cleaned up. But I think for Dane to be effective at getting the ball downfield, you got to have a little bit of a running attack. 10 attempts, 24 yards, not going to get the job done. Not at all.
I think most of the issues are going to start up front on the offensive line. Losing Kyle Saxelid obviously doesn't help at all. Hopefully his injury isn't too serious, but we did see him in crutches on the sideline there. So prayers go out to him and his family, and hopefully he can have a speedy return. But with the 8 sacks and just the constant pressure and I think we got Coach O here, so we'll continue that thought after.
Well, we'll have our exclusive interview, courtesy of Access Storage with Coach O. Coach, tough one. Again, what did you learn from your team here in game number 1 of the season?
Well, I learned we don't quit. I learned that we got to get a lot better.
Coach, were you impressed with with Simon the punter coming in fresh and having 9 punts and really not having any ones that you'd wish to have back?
Well, I'd prefer to not have 9 punts, but I will say that I thought he did a very effective job. He was able to bail us out a few times there, so I thought he had a great night for the situation he was put in.
Coach, I thought your defense played real well for 3 quarters. They might have been on the field just a little bit too long, though.
Yeah, I was very proud of them. I feel like we were going to have to win it on defense and special teams. The offense gave us a chance there. We obviously got to be better in that phase of football. There's, keen sense of the obvious there. But I thought when we were within a 3-point game there, that we had a chance to get off the field. And whether we're out there too long or not, our job is to play defense. And so with that, a little disappointed in that, but so proud of it was a defensive battle for a long time.
Coach, the sacks were 8-0 for Saskatchewan. What's the message going into week 2's practice week and trying to flip the script with Calgary coming into town?
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to look at the tape, right? I got to look at the tape, and we, we'll be, we'll be very critical of what that is. We obviously we don't protect the quarterback. It's going to be a challenge. It doesn't matter what week you're playing in. So the messaging I don't have right now. I'll have a message after I watch the tape completely.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us there. I know it's a tough one to take on the road there, but you come back home opener in just a week's time. So we look forward to chatting with you later.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
That was your Coach O. Brought to you by Access Storage here in our interview. We're looking to get a player of the game, hoping to get Dane Evans as well, too. We bring in our panel of experts here. Now, apparently he goes by the Computer Geek now. That's his new nickname there, RJ. Luke Tasker.
hey, he's turned into a great stats guy. He comes up with some good stuff.
Maybe not great, but weird. I like the weird stats are really what are entertaining to me. But yeah, that's a tough one, guys. I mean, there's so many areas to point to make corrections, and I don't know, Andy. I felt like we were always. I don't know. It seemed to me 2019 was the exception where we were in the lead in the East from the very start. But so many times, I remember McMaster in 2014 when it was like, we were playing okay, but found ourselves in 1-5, I think, before making a run for the Grey Cup. So it's been done many times in recent history by the Ticats to turn things around.
Yeah, six losses in a row in that building. How do you explain that?
Tough place to play.
Mosaic, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is tough to play, yes. You can kind of see in that fourth quarter, you can just tell it's like just a nasty energy that gets building. Once you get behind, it's like, really, really hard to claw back out of that. And Andy will be able to speak the best as to what it's like to play there, though, of course, old Mosaic, but that was just as equally a tough place to play.
Yeah, I thought you guys we're glad we could have some fun with it after a loss like that. But I thought you guys were spot on your call, and I was talking to trying to make things too difficult and like simplify things a little bit. Just get the ball out, just get in a rhythm. And once they seemed to do that in the second half, we saw a few first downs get strung together and some success, but a little too late a little too little too late, don't you think?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, absolutely. It when the big 70-plus yard touchdown to Stephen Dunbar and got them within 2 points, it felt like a lot of momentum. And the Roughriders, that turnover late was very, very difficult. It's really similar to last year, guys. The turnovers, the quarterback sacks, the lack of offense, and the Tiger Cats figured it out. And they dealt with a lot of adversity. It's one game. It's a tough place to play. Riders are hosting the Grey Cup. I'm not making excuses, but the Tiger Cats won't make excuses. But there's a lot of time to figure some things out here. And there's a lot more veterans, just 4 rookies. None of them were in the starting lineup. So I think there'll be a lot of guys that speak up and want to make amends for what happened tonight.
Agreed. One thing that I did like to see is some of those drives, and it was only sporadic, and that was the unfortunate thing. They never really strung together multiple successful offensive drives in a row. But the ones that did look good, I felt like Dane Evans was getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. He had quick options and quick reads and was able to drive downs.
Guys, we're going to go right down to Regina back here. It sounds like we have Dane Evans here on the line here. Dane, thanks for joining us. Tough situation. The offense a little sputtery, but in the end of the day, you guys had a shot in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I mean, we played horrible in offense. 100% my fault. All we talk about all week is, limiting turnovers. Having none of them was our goal, and I had 4 on my own. So extremely tough when we do that. Our defense played fantastic tonight. Definitely well enough to win. And like you said, with all things considered, we found ourselves in a situation to win a game, and we didn't. I mean, it was a ball game until the fourth quarter, right? We got beat for 1 quarter, and that's the one that matters. Yeah, I put this one 100% on me. I have to be so much better. It's no one else's fault. It's no one else's fault.
Dane, on a more positive note, how's your wife Nikki doing?
She's good. We're still expecting, so that's pretty stressful too. But other than that, she's great. She's been feeling good, so all things are great, and that's really what matters anyway. She feels healthy, and whenever this baby girl's ready to be here, she'll come. So, yeah, we're still expecting.
Yeah, Dane, it's Luke here, and I'm wishing you guys the best with that. But I know that it's your positive energy, man, and your attitude that bounces back from this. What's going to be your mindset heading into day 1, or what will be day 0 for this coming week?
Yeah. What's up, Luke? Great to hear from you, man. And you know how I am, man. I'm not looking at no one else but what I did and how I can be better, both physically and as a leader, right? So I'm definitely going to review this game super hard. I probably don't even need the coaches to tell me what I did wrong. I'm my own worst critic always. So yeah, this is going to be a tough one to watch, but at the same time, you know how it is, man. I can't wait to dive into this and see what happened, good and bad. There were some good things in there too, but I can't wait to watch this and learn from this and see when we're right back here at the end of the year how much better we've gotten from week 1 to week 23. So I really can't wait to learn from this.
Dane, have a safe trip back. Again, we'll look forward to talking to you during the week of practice, and get ready for the home opener, which is going to be an exciting one right here at Tim Hortons Field against the Calgary Stampeders. Safe trip back. Thanks for joining us.
Yep, exactly. Thanks, guys. Great talking to y'all, and I'll see y'all soon.
Spoken like a true leader there. Always me or I in a loss, and we or team in a win. But I think he nailed it. Really, is that if each player has that mentality, and you go and you're looking in the mirror only, and you're just critiquing yourself, that's how collectively you'll come to have a better corrections from the game and better progress leading into League Two. And he also mentioned that, which I agree with, they're going to find a lot of positives from this film, probably more than the listeners heard from the call of the game or anybody watching the game on TV saw. But there were a lot of positive. The special teams unit, I thought, was outstanding. I think the defense played really well, but you can only play for so long. I mean, how many 2-and-outs were there? They only had one first down or second down conversion in the first half. They ended up with 5 out of 23. I mean, that's just not going to get it done.
You have the 5 turnovers from the offense throughout the night. There's one at the end there with Matt Schiltz. But from Dane, of course, they're going to focus on how do you not throw those interceptions. But equally as costly are the strips in the backfield, and that's such a slight technique that you can work on. That's just a little gentle reminder that in a lot of ways it's mentally less taxing to make that correction, to not throw an interception. Well, every quarterback wants to not throw that interception, but I think Dane has this early season reminder of how tight and how careful he has to be back there, and that would take half your turnovers away just by doing that basic, that simple ball security in the backfield.
Yeah, well, a guy you would remember from your first year going into the 2020 inductee, but going to be here this week for the Hall of Fame game, Henry Burris. One of the knocks on him in Hamilton was a lot of those strip sack or sack strips, fumbles in his time here. Even though he led the league both years he was here in yardage, just too many turnovers, and it ended up being costly.
But is that a situation that you're just trusting your offensive line to hold, and you're so busy looking downfield?
It's a balance. It is because yes, and you can, especially that first one on the first drive of the game. That Rough Rider paw came out of nowhere, and doesn't surprise me that took Dane, he couldn't even have seen that coming. So it is a balance of that trust and knowing your presence in the pocket, but it is a legitimate technique that quarterbacks practice and are aware of to keep the ball high and secure as opposed to, down and low while they're running. And it's something that can be practiced, and the offensive line is probably going to put some of that on them as well, though, to your point.
One of the things we talked about at halftime is that there needed to be a plan B for the offense, and there needed to be a plan B for the offense of the Rough Riders. What did the Rough Riders do that all of a sudden they were a different team, RJ?
They passed the ball, and the numbers don't lie that the Tiger Cats are a bit vulnerable to the pass. They're great against the run defense. The preseason numbers, there were a lot of passing yards, not a lot of points put up, but the Riders started throwing deep. I just want to say, how do you not love Dane Evans? I mean, taking everything on him. And sometimes you'd love everything to be easy, and you win every game and no problem, no adversity. But sometimes when you have that early adversity, didn't you get the feel from him that this is going to make him a better quarterback, a better leader, a better football player? That if you have that game not go your way, he's going to fix things. He's going to remember this bad feeling and be able to just be a better football player.
Yeah, that's such a good point, RJ. I think you always learn more from a loss or learn more from adversity. I mean, I can remember one time I had the case of the dropsies back in the day. Only once.
No, yeah, only once. I don't remember that.
But I got sat down and I got benched and like I'm thinking, oh, okay, here now. What am I now? I need to really step up and review like my character and take it. And then I ended up going on a run that year. So just a small example, but you're absolutely right. You can get the feeling just from that interview that they're already going to be better next week. If they would have somehow came away with the win from this game, well, that would have been great for the Ticats. But lots of lessons in a loss like this.
I think the passing attack by Sask in that second half, and you got Ticat defensive secondary that had coming off a really unbelievable season. I mean, they were with interceptions and knockdowns. They were leading with all of that, and a lot of guys who are for all-stars, right, from that second five. And Carriel Brooks obviously notably missing from the lineup right now, but not their best performance. And that's a group of guys who every defensive secondary, that has to be a cohesive group. It's almost, in my opinion, it's sort of needs to be the second most cohesive group to the offensive line. Those groups, their communication has to be so on point. Their timing and their moving in their space has to be right. And I think that the Ticats have a group of guys who will be able to tighten that up and bounce back from what was a second half where Cody Fajardo, I think he had 8 explosive pass plays in that second half there alone, and what led to a lot of points.
But is that a product of the fact, and this is one of your 3 points and your Carstar points of the game, that the edge pressure just wasn't there, and Fajardo was able to get outside of the pocket when necessary?
Yeah, and a lot of that's Fajardo too, but you're right, that rush by the Ticats also was not what we were used to seeing in the statistical difference for the sacks tonight is unbelievable. I mean, the pressure that Dane was having to deal with throughout the night, which forced turnovers, which forced punting situations, it's kind of insurmountable. You cannot have that lopsided difference in sacks between the two teams.
I'm going to give a little silver lining in the pass attack. I mean, you're right that RJ, the numbers don't lie, but you guys talked about it on air that a couple of those throws were just perfect throws,
yes,
and almost undefendable. I mean, you had great coverage downfield and just a perfect throw and great catch. You had a couple contested catches that there was a flag; it could have went either way, and then a couple broken plays which added to that stat line. So I didn't see receivers running wide open too much. There might have been 3 or 4 throughout the game, but I'm not too concerned with the pass defense after that game, after watching that game. The numbers might say differently, but defensively, the rush defense was excellent once again. And they just were on the field too long, and they just gave too many chances to a great quarterback with weapons, and that's going to happen in this league, just over time.
Specifically, there was a pass to Shaq Evans to Fajardo's left.
Dropped it right in.
It was wild. And Alden Darby was really, I mean, I actually had my eyes over there for the start of that play, and I thought, wow, really great adjustment to what was a classic task and twos formation. It was Shaq and Duke Williams stacked up together and sort of ran an option and crisscrossed. And I thought Roll and Alden Darby played it very, very well. Cody Fajardo put the ball just exactly where it couldn't be defended, and that's classic. That's Joe Montana. You cannot defend a perfectly thrown ball, no matter how good the coverage is.
Good throws and good receivers.
Yes.
Duke Williams has said he thinks the Riders have the best receiving core. There was another play with Shaq Evans where I think Alden Darby figured he had one of the easiest interceptions. He was in the air. He had to reach behind him, and watching the replay, Darby had his hands up ready to catch that for the interception. It was just a really acrobatic catch by Evans. So when your receivers are doing that does help the passing game, and that won't happen every game where receivers are making unbelievable catches.
We know offensive coordinator Tommy Condell. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He wants to push the ball down the field, or he at least wants to put it up. 10 carries, 24 yards on the ground. I mean, I've always been taught it starts with the running game a little bit. Just not good enough, I would say.
No, I think 20 of those carries were by receivers. Braylon Addison had an 8-yard carry, and Tim White had a 12-yard carry.
Yep.
So if you look at the actual traditional running attack, just unexistent. So non-existent. But you got to be able to get some completions to get the box to lighten up a little bit, and so it's very complimentary. In football, it's crazy, and I bet you these two teams could play the exact same game, next week, and it might be a completely different game where there's tons of passing attack and rushing attack. That's the beauty about the CFL. It's just one of those things that you get things start snowballing.
Yeah, Andy, I think you said it in your halftime show, and this is a Tommy Condell-ism, is that the short passes to the wide receivers, we were taught and trained to consider that an extension of the run game, and in the CFL it really is. That little 5-yard option route, a wide receiver screen, those are run plays, and we saw it work at times and not work at other times, but that's kind of what I was missing. RJ, we talked about it leading into this game this week, is the first down efficiency and getting just those quick ball out of the hand and downfield plays early on in the game. But the turnover to start the game off was, it sort of spelled disaster. And right before that first play of the game was almost a turnover. It comes down to the basics like it does every time: ball security and turnover ratio.
Yeah, the first few possessions weren't great for the Tiger Cats, but it is uncanny, as I think back to last year, how similar this is to those first couple of games. Couldn't run the football. We weren't able to run the football. Turned the ball over too many times. Allowed too many quarterback sacks. Couldn't put up offensive numbers. So, and they turned things around. So there are a ton of similarities. Again, tough place to play. They started in Winnipeg and Saskatchewan last season. Starting in Saskatchewan this year, a team that's hosting the Grey Cup. So many similarities. It is a bit bizarre how we could almost replay back the post-game show from a year ago, and it would be talking about a lot of the same things that they have to fix. And they did. They made it to the Grey Cup.
To what you're saying there, RJ, I think we cannot lose the fact here, is that this Ticat team play 4 straight West teams.
Yep.
And, they all have wins right now, and the Argos get the week off, and no one from the East won a football game this week.
Still tied for first.
Yeah, well, Luke, you pointed that out. That's the silver lining.
That crazy?
It wasn't a great game for the Tiger Cats, but they haven't lost any ground.
But it's going to get interesting, and things have to change. Ottawa looked pretty impressive.
They're better.
They put together impressive offensive performance. Montreal had great plays in Calgary. But this West stretch here is going to be interesting. The West has all the wins right now, and that's what the Ticats are up against for a few games before they head into a substantial stretch of East teams, this mid-stretch of the 2022 season is going to be very interesting, and the playoff picture may become very clear a little bit earlier this year than sometimes it does, I feel.
Well, I think starting off like this is we already touched on it, but not just for the guys in the locker room, but also for the people like us to talking about the game, the fans. We had high expectations way up here coming into the season, and maybe getting knocked down to the ground, and then we can sort of build together with the fans, with the team, with the community, and just grow as a unit. It'll be an exciting year, and no better chance than against the Calgary Stampeders next week for the home opener, and really looking forward to that game and celebrating all the Hall of Fame inductees as well, including Coach Orlando Steinhauer.
Yes.
So hopefully we can be a little more cheery after that game.
Yeah. And it's important. We're dealing with a passionate fan base right here in Hamilton. Game 1 of 18 in the Canadian Football League. Just slow your roll a little bit. Let's not lose our minds. It wasn't a great performance tonight. Let's be honest. We ought to call it as we saw it. But yeah, it's a long season.
It's fixable things. Mm-hmm. Don't turn the ball over. As soon as the Tiger Cats stopped turning the ball over last year, things changed. Chris Van Zyl came back. They seem to be able to run the ball. They'll make a couple of tweaks. Dane Evans. After listening to him, he's probably already thought of 10 things that he can do better next week against Calgary. So I'm quite confident we will see a different Ticats team for the home opener at Tim Hortons Field.
Last word to you there, Andy?
Well, I'm glad they gave Dunbar a chance again. We were talking about it in the 50-50 ball that was intercepted in the first half. You could see that would make the Roughriders even more so believe that they can one-on-one him, and he is too good of a player for that. So they gave him a chance on the touchdown I could call back, and then the one that they actually scored on. What a nice play, and they gotta use these. They gotta get these receivers involved and really let them show their true colors, let them shine. So I'm glad they stuck with that.
Well, guys, 30-13, one to forget, but one to also remember and learn from as we get ready for the home opener right here at Tim Hortons Stadium. And it will be the Calgary Stampeders. Bo Levi and his boys are coming in town. And as we said, for Andy Fantuz and RJ and Luke, I'm Bubba O'Neil. We'll see you back for the Tiger Cats post-game and pre-game presented by Journey Rewards as those Ticats have their home opener against Calgary next Saturday night on the Ticats Audio Network.